Hey friends, Mindy here. I have a little process video for you today. I am going to be setting up my pocket Bible. This is the one that coordinates with On the Brink from Bythewell4God, and it comes with everything that you need to cover it. It comes with a little Bible and some directions, the inner pages, and some fabrics that you can use to either cover or accent or make closures or whatever you want to do. I've covered these Bibles multiple times on my channel, so I'm going to go through here pretty quickly. I will also link the playlist of those other pocket Bibles if you want to see some that are more in-depth tutorial. I am using Cocoina glue stick here to do all this, and the first thing that I'm going to do is use this fabric and dry fit this onto my Bible. And I'm just going to use those little clips to hold it in place. I do this just to make sure that I'm not moving the fabric around while I'm trying to glue, and that everything is kind of where I need it to be before I start gluing everything. So I'm just going to use one of those little clips just to kind of make sure I have everything evenly spaced. I'm using this beautiful mixed media look fabric because it is my favorite. And if you've seen some of my other videos with this fabric or this pattern, you'll know that I'm a big fan of it. I'm just trying to decide how I want my cover to look. In the end, I think I'm going to keep it pretty simple with just these two pieces of fabric, and then I'm going to use that long strip to create a closure on this as well. So originally I had videoed this way before, like weeks ago, and I was going to upload it, and then while we were out of town, I lost my voice and I couldn't do the voiceover, and so it just kind of got crazy. So I'm going to share it with you today. But for some reason, my glue stick got really stringy. I don't know what happened. I've never had that happen with Cocoina before. So I don't know if I had maybe left the lid just kind of open a little bit. So while I'm doing here is I'm just taking a baby wipe and kind of smoothing around this glue. It's going to work just fine because this is a paste. So I'm basically just kind of adding water to it. And then fortunately, I have another one on hand, so I'm just going to pull that one out and cover this with glue. This is going to take a little bit longer to dry than normal just because I did get it wet, but it worked just fine. So starting with the back cover, and then I go around to the spine piece and then to the back side here and just cover this whole thing. So my initial thought with this is we were going out of town to go to a church convention, and so I wanted to have a way to record some of the sermon notes. And so that is what I did. I prepared some of these cards ahead of time. And then so let me know if you'd like to see a flip through of what that looks like once those cards are finished. I'll show you that toward the end of this video, what those cards look like. But I'm going to use this fabric here, and I am trimming off the edges, just kind of getting a raw edge there, making sure I have this evenly spaced around the spine. And then I'm just going to go through here with that same Cocoina glue and just glue everything together. I like using this glue because it gives you enough working time that if you put the fabric down, you need to move it, you can kind of pull it back up, and it doesn't seep through the fabric like some glue, like liquid glues can do, and it doesn't stain it. If you do get too much on there, you can maybe get it to seep through, but I mean, you'd have to put an awful lot on there. So you can kind of see I'm just aligning everything there, which is the benefit to this glue. And now I'm going to go to the back cover and just kind of do like I always do. I'm going to trim around all of the corners just to trim some of this extra fabric off. It just makes it a little bit easier when you go to wrap around those corners. It just gets rid of some of the bulk. And then I'm cutting out the little triangle sections at the beginning and end of each of the text block on the top and the bottom. That's just going to make sure that it wraps around there really neatly. And I really need to invest, I keep saying this, in some good fabric scissors because I was on the struggle bus a little bit with that, but you can kind of see how that looks with those notches out of there. And then I'm going to go to the long side of this and then glue that down and hold that in place. And then I'm just kind of pleat this fabric around. So I kind of fold it over, add a little bit more glue, fold it over, add a little bit more glue, and we'll just kind of work my way around. And then I add a little bit of glue to that accent piece as well. And then I'm going to do this again to the bottom section here, and then I will do this to the other cover as well. So like I said, I know this is going pretty quickly. I do have other videos that are a little bit more in depth and a little bit slower. If you want to see those with a little bit more detail. But like I said, I've covered these multiple times on my channel, so I don't want to bore you with watching me do it either. But I'm just going to put those little clips on there and hold everything down while I work on the front side now. And I need to tuck these little spine pieces in, and I have found that the best way to do this is with that little paper clip. I'm adding a little bit of glue, but you kind of want to push the covers back on themselves, like open a little bit, and that just opens up that spine section, and you can just slide that fabric right down in there with a little paper clip fancy tool. If you wanted to use a pokey tool or an awl or something, you could certainly do that, but the paper clip works just fine. So it's always what I use for this process. And now I'm just going to trim some of these strings that are everywhere, put those little clamps on those corners especially, and this is where I want to add my closure. So they included a bunch of fabric here, and so, but I don't want my closure to be quite that wide, so I'm just trimming it down, and then I'm just kind of tearing it, and I will add a piece to the front and to the back cover before I put in my end papers. That way it will help secure that, and then also it will look nice and neat. So just taking that long piece, and like I said, I trimmed it down so I'd have those kind of raw edges. If that's not your thing, you could use seam binding or lace or ribbon or whatever you want to use. I just kind of like this. I love these two fabrics together, and I really love the raw edge of this fabric. So I'm just going to add a little bit of cocoina glue there, kind of in the center. I didn't measure it. You certainly could if you were worried about it. And then I'm going to add the back piece as well. I'm just going to make sure that those two pieces line up. So I'm just kind of, eyeballing that and make sure that they add up, and that they meet up, and then that will tie together as my closure. And now I'm going to work on the end papers. So Bythewell always includes these in there as well. So I have found it easiest to fold these first, and I just use a little bone folder there to get a nice good crease on these. This is pretty heavyweight cardstock that they have given here to do this, and so it's just going to cover up the raw edges and all of the inner papers here, make everything look really cohesive. I'm going to add some deli paper in here just to protect my pages so that when I'm gluing it, I don't get it on the actual Bible page, because I want to make sure that I'm getting glue all the way to the edges here. And I always like to start with the inner page, and so I tuck that down into the gutter there, and then I line it up with this inner page. And then once I have that lined up really good, I will add adhesive to that inner page that's going to meet on the actual cover. And then I'm going to make sure that has a good amount of glue. And then again, I'm just going to kind of push down into the gutter and make sure everything is nice and tight. And then I will come back around with those little clips and let those hold everything in place while it dries. It's not good. I always put these under a Bible, under like a heavy book or something overnight after I've done this, just to make sure that, give that cocoina time to really cure. But it's after a few minutes, it's going to be, decently held in place. So I'm going to do the same thing here on this other side. I'm going to add glue to the inner paper here, and just making sure I have that deli paper protecting the actual Bible pages. And then you can see I'm kind of pushing that fold down into the gutter, and then I'm going to glue this other side down. And then we'll kind of just push down into the gutter, make sure everything is nice and straight. And then I will especially make sure to put the those clips on the corners where everything's just a little bit bulkier. So this is kind of how it's going to look when it's finished, but I want to turn my attention now to the papers. So with this kit, you always get I think it's like 36 of these journaling cards. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of lay these out, and I'm going to use the Mixed Media Marks stamp set from Bythewell, and I'm just going to start kind of preemptively decorating these pages just so that I have a little bit of some interest on here. I may come back and add some focal points or something later, but just to get that really kind of mixed media design on there. Just going through, you can see very randomly I'm stamping with archival ink in black soot, and it's just one of my favorites because it's a nice nice black, and just going around randomly. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Just as I see fit, I'm just overlapping sections of it. And then I'm coming in with one of the other little stamp sets that, or one of the other stamps from that same stamp set, the mixed media marks, but this is actually in brown in the archival ink in ground espresso. And just, again, random mark making. This, I'm not overthinking it. I just wanted to have some cards prepared for when I went, so that I could just write out the scripture on the back or the sermon notes or whatever I wanted to include here. So again, if you'd like to see a flip through of what these cards look like after they have all been filled out, let me know and I will do that. And now I'm coming in with another archival ink. This is Kitsch Flamingo, and it's a nice bright pink. And I'm just coming again with one of those stamps from that same multimedia marks stamp set, and again, just very randomly. It's just very intuitive. I'm not really trying not to overthink any of this. Just getting some color and some interest down on each of these cards so that I have something to work with later on. You could certainly decorate all of the cards on the front if you wanted to before you actually use the book, or if you decided to use this as a gift, this would be a good thing to do, is kind of pre-decorate some of these cards. You could write scriptures. That I've done that for a friend, with like scriptures that were just encouraging or whatever. Lots of ideas for these pocket Bibles. I really enjoy creating with them. They're just a lot of fun, in my opinion. So now I'm coming back in again with that same stamp set, but this time in the archival in brown, just adding a little bit more interest. I really like having the brown and the pink and the black all kind of stamped in there. And then coming back in, I felt like there were a few that just needed some more of that bright pink just to give them a little bit more interest. And like I said, I may come back in and add fabric. I may add all kinds of things later on, but this just gives me something to sort of work with ahead of time, so it's not just a plain blank card. So you can kind of see how these look now. Even if it just put a word or, did some lettering or something on there, it just already gives you a place to start from. So here are some close-ups. If you like this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, bye.